What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of How to Human. This is not my first podcast. This is not the first time I'm interviewing people of either, just regular, everyday kind of work type people or high level people. So I hope that you're excited for my good friend, Brandon Mccaghren, aka Bmac. I don't know exactly what to go with here for the intros to the show. So we're going very minimalistic for this first episode. I do ask you to stick around for an after show, basically, where it's just a couple of minutes of me trying to build a relationship with the audience. As I said, this isn't my first time doing a podcast or interviewing people, but it is my first time going all in on YouTube and going all in on the growth of the interview style podcast. You'll learn more about it in the trailer about me and the show. If you haven't already listened to that, go back and listen to the trailer for the podcast. And then as this episode goes on and future episodes release, you'll learn a lot more about me. But if you're interested in learning about entrepreneurs at every level of life, whether they're just getting started or they've been working on their craft for 10, 20 years, this is the show for you. So How to Human in a nutshell is going to be you learning from people like Brandon Mccaghren and Eddie Bravo Black Belt, who's been running his gym for a very long time, and so many others that I don't even want to give away. I just ask you to stick around and come back every Wednesday and Friday to the YouTube channel for the video version. Or if you're more of the audio junkie like myself, go to iTunes, what it was. Go to Apple and Spotify or anywhere else that you get your podcast in audio versions and listen to it there. I like consuming this kind of content in audio while I'm multitasking, driving, doing other things. But because we live in a world where it's very, video is in demand, you got to have the long form and the clips of the clips and the reels of the clips and so on. This is what we're doing. So if you want to put this up on your TV, you want to put it up on your computer, your phone, your iPad, or whatever, this is where the video version will live every Wednesday and every Friday. For the meantime, all I ask for you guys, if you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, leave a rating or review even on Apple, and star it or follow it however you can on Spotify. Until then, enjoy the episode and stick around for the after show. Thanks, everybody. All right. So, everybody, we're going to get right into it. This is actually going to be the first episode that launches this podcast, Bmac. No pressure, just letting you know.
It's going to be a terrible disaster.
I've been waiting. Honestly, dude, I do appreciate you making the effort to do this for me and with me. I think it's been like 2 weeks where I've been bugging BMAC like, hey, bro, I know it's been like, I don't know, 3.5 years since we've actually had a conversation, but I got to have you on this podcast I'm launching. And you were kind enough to make the time. I know you've been traveling. You got a lot of things going on, but thank you for doing the show.
Yeah, dude, I'm super happy to see your smiling face.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. I talk BMAC up any chance I get, and even though I haven't talked to BMAC in a hot minute, anytime someone brings up jiu-jitsu or we're talking about business, I swear to you, dude, it's not very. It's rare that I don't bring you up, and for very good reasons. Honestly, man. And as a matter of fact, I was kind of binging some of your content on YouTube because you've been on the content game here as of recently, or at least maybe the algorithms have been dishing it to me more recently, but on YouTube, on Instagram. So I kind of just want to first tie in a nice, neat bow. The fact that I've known you since probably 2014, 15. I met you at the very first, in person, I met you at the Honored Invitational 1. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And then before that, we may have had you on the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, which we had been doing since like 2013. So I've known you for a long time, man. We're coming up on a decade, and I like to have this lead-in question.
Crazy.
I know. Trust me. And I like having this lead-in question of just asking the guests, like, how do you feel the last 10 years have treated you?
Oh, amazing. Best 10 years ever.
Yeah? How old are you now, too, for context?
Oh, well, today I feel 65, but I'm only 43 today. Well, actually, I'm 42. I'll be 43 next month.
Next month? What day?
Yeah, the 23rd.
All right, everybody remember May 23rd, BMAC's birthday. All right, man.
Dude,
so,
and please don't be shy. Send gifts, money.
Where's the fan PO box?
Cash app.
Cash app. I'll drop the Cash app in the description, everybody.
Yeah.
So the last decade, man, like, can you sum up? Because a lot of people say like your 40s are like the decade. Like as soon as you hit 40 things, as long as you've been doing like semi the right things, it really launches you into like a whole new life.
Oh, I definitely feel like that's been the case. I feel like especially like the last 2 or 3 years, but the last 5 for sure.
Yeah. What do you think were the big catalyst of it?
It's just the groundwork and the hard work that I've been laying is having. There's more fruit to pick from the trees. Same trees, but I've been watering them and taking care of them and learning how to treat them right for the last, I don't know, almost 20 years in this business. And yeah, the last couple of years have been really good to me.
How long have you had the gym now?
Since 2010, 2011,
Oh, wow.
2010, I'm pretty sure.
So 20 years in the game, legitimately.
Yeah,
I like the way you said it's same tree, just more fruit. And Bmac and I used to chat on the phone regularly, like at least monthly, about marketing and business and strategies. And way before the internet or social media as we know it, has become this place of just short content, which you're doing a great job of. Shorts and
thanks.
clips and reels and all that jazz. And do Facebook ads still work? Like, how's your Google PPC advertising if you do any? Like all this stuff. And I don't know if you still like how much of that you still implement and still try to educate yourself on, but man, you were one of the few people, especially somebody that had a gym or had any kind of business that was going the extra mile to try to what can I learn from, Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels? What can I learn from this person or that person or this book or that author? So are you still that same kind of hustler mentality where you're trying to absorb as much content or as much information as you can?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that's super important, man. Whatever. I mean, you have to be a white belt for life, right? Like you got to be a lifelong learner,
Yeah.
and that's crucial to me. And being in the game, like hands on the thing, keeping my hands dirty every day is really important too. So you got to take lessons, but you got to get out there and spar also.
So when you say the last 3 or 5 years specifically, like when did you, what made you see more fruit from this tree that we're talking about?
Well, the big change is that the more that I learn to hire out my weaknesses and then just the things that I don't want to do, the more of those things that I can get off of my plate, the better. So, like, generally speaking, the bottleneck in the business is me. Like, the thing that stops it growing is me, not because I'm poor at what I do or because uh, it, I just don't have enough time to be everywhere,
Yeah.
And so I can't do everything. And so in the beginning, as a business, you're the only guy. And well, maybe not every business, but pretty much any small business that you start, you're the guy. I mean, you got to do everything. You're the marketing professional. You're the guy who sells the stuff. You're the guy who makes the content. You're the guy who posts the content. You're the guy who learns about the business, and you're all like, you have to do everything. And as your business grows, or even if it's not growing and you want it to grow, I think probably the most important thing for me in the last 3 to 5 years has been I've been able to hire out more of those tasks so that I kind of live like my only rule that I have in my life is I'm just going to do what I want to do.
I love
Like
it.
if I
Same.
if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. If it has to be done and I don't want to do it, I got two options. I can either hire it out or I can punt completely. Just it doesn't get done. But I'm not going to do it. Like
Yeah.
somebody's got to mow the grass. Somebody's got to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it.
What?
Somebody's got to take out the trash. I'm not taking out the trash.
That's what we have
I
kids
got
for.
no kidding, right? But you know, um, those are those are like little things like that. Those are things that's time I could be using doing things that only I can do,
Yeah.
you know. And so the most important hire though of all the hires that we've made, the most important one has been every time that I invest in the media team,
Mhm.
the business has a big jump.
I love it, man. It's super hard for small businesses to do that because the investment. It's like when anything's like not going the best. The first thing that people want to cut is marketing. The first thing they want to cut is, I guess, what now would be content. Which is, I've said this forever. I was like, it is the bloodline of your business. Why is that the first thing that most small businesses you think cut? Is it because they don't understand it, or because
Yeah.
they think the budgets are just too? It is pretty much right. Like they just don't understand how it works.
Yeah, well, they don't understand the importance of it,
Right.
perhaps. Even if you do understand the importance of it, then you've got the next step of how it works. But yeah, I mean, if you understood that it was important, you would never not do that.
So
You would sacrifice something else.
what connected the bridge from you like 5 years, let's just say 5 years ago, to use a round number, that you went from I don't want to do it, but also like it has to be done. I'm going to start hiring it out. Like when were you either able to delegate because it was it was easy for you monetarily, or it got easier, or just because maybe you couldn't afford it, but you're like, this has to be done. So this is when and why it got done.
So I've been a black belt since 2016, since January of 2016. But before that, so when I was a brown belt, I started making content for YouTube. And not like with the intention of being a YouTuber or whatever, just I was doing jujitsu and I thought, well, this will be, hopefully people can see this and come sign up at the gym. And also, there's 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, which is for those of you that don't know, that's an affiliation inside of Jiu-Jitsu all over the world. But at that time, it was much, much smaller. And we were all sharing, like the culture of 10th Planet is like we share with each other. Even if this guy lives in Detroit and this guy lives in LA, this guy's got a gym in South Korea, like Australia, whatever. We have like a private group that
The inner
we
circle.
share. Yeah, the 10WO we call it.
I fucking love that.
And so I just wanted to say, look, here's some of the stuff that we're doing in practice. Here's some of the plays that I'm making. And so I just started making content really kind of to share with them and hopefully to get people inside of Decatur to start, thinking about coming out and trying jujitsu. Now, when I got my black belt, I had already kind of seen the power of what content can do.
Hmm.
And I wanted also to have a separate revenue stream from the gym. Like I live in a town in Decatur, Alabama. There's 50,000 people here, dude.
Right.
Like there's only so many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu no-gi specialist potential members in the gym in the city. So I mean, I could get a ton of them, and I got a good sized gym, but everything dependent on scaling. You can only scale to 50,000 people. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I decided to open up an online academy and to film the classes that I was teaching and to start pushing that out. And we did that in 2016 when I got my black belt.
Right.
And in the beginning, it was just me, and there was a guy that was kind of filming the content for me. And that didn't work out, and so I bring in another guy. Over the years, we've gone through a couple of different guys on the content side. But with the online business, dude, I can scale it. I'm doing the same work, but now I'm just recording the class. I'm teaching the classes anyway.
Hmm.
Well, let me record the classes, post those online, use the videos and the free content that I'm making to kind of like usher people over towards that. And so that was the beginning. Like it was very, very small for a long time. I was charging $5 a month.
I remember. I was a
There
member.
wasn't even, yeah, there
I
wasn't
was a
even
member,
like
and
a
I was only training in
yearly.
the gi. I wasn't even training no gi, but go on.
There wasn't like even an option to do like a yearly. It was just like it was $5 a month. There was no commitment whatsoever. It was just $5 a month. So, and then I was especially, I still kind of am, but at that time, especially, I was really a nobody in the jujitsu community. I was just a guy who got his black belt. And so nobody really knew. There was a lot of traffic coming through, but slowly grind forward. The content side grows, and so as this grows, this comes behind it. And so eventually, the online academy got big enough where I could, instead of needing like volunteer help to help with the content, okay, now I can actually hire somebody part time, and then we'll work through a couple of those guys, and then finally settled in on Keelan to be the full time content director, basically for the whole empire. But really, it was to answer your question, it was having the online academy is what opened up, like it was a second stream of revenue. So that's what opened me up to start making some hires and doing some
Speaking
some
of Keelan,
actual like scalable growth.
right. So Keelan's supposed to be running the cameras right now, but he's not there. So Bmac had to do this on his phone. So you
I
thought quick
know.
on your feet, and you made it happen.
Yeah, well, I didn't even tell him about it. He's been busting his butt, so I was like, dude, just lay low. I got this.
That's awesome, man. When did he join the team? Like when did he start running the media empire?
About 5 years ago is when he started part time,
Okay,
and then he's been full time for maybe 2 years, and then he just got a big pay raise
nice.
about to start this year off.
That's awesome. I want to put a pin in it right now, but I want to come back to this because this is one of the. So the podcast is very entrepreneur driven and self development kind of emphasis as well. And before we get to how you started, really scaling and hiring Keelan and stuff like that for your media, to go back to when I first met you. So you say like you weren't really very well known or famous or whatever, but the second BMAX stepped into the on it facility, everyone's like, "Oh shit, Brand!" And I think Nasty Nate Harris might have been the person that gave you the name BMAC, at least to my knowledge.
Oh, I don't know. That's been around a long time.
I don't know, but that's maybe what I've heard. But regardless, I was like, oh shit, it's Brandon, it's BMAC. And I maybe talked to you on a podcast in the background because at the time I was just producing, I wasn't really co-hosting that show. And I was like, man, this guy's energy is fucking amazing. Like it's just, and I'm sure you've gotten that forever. And I hope that you have, and I hope everybody that meets you feels that. But then we just started chatting. I met Boogie for the first time. I met a ton of the 10th Planet guys at that event. And then we went out afterwards and we grabbed a taxi and we went to wherever the post, food and thing was. And we were just kind of just chilling, talking. I got to learn about you. And from what I remember, it was a long time ago. Like, you used to play in a band, right? I used to play a lot of music and started jamming, or we started just chopping it up about music. And you were in the church, and we started nerding out about John Mayer versus Dave Matthews and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, man, this is, but I mean, we had just done a really cool first ever like honored invitational. It was streamed on Flow, I think. Tons of cool people there. And I was just nerding out with you about business and music. And I was like, this guy's really, really cool. And ever since then, man, I've just like, you've been one of the top, like I've met so many people in the jiu-jitsu community, but you've got to be like top 3. And I've met Eddie and I've met a ton of other people, but there's something about just the way that you carry yourself. So I wanted to ask you, like, throughout your entrepreneurial endeavor, from brown belt, black belt, opening your school, scaling online, how does the family and the marriage work throughout all that, just in the last decade?
Oh, that's the best part. So I've been married next month. I've been married for 22 years.
Wow.
Right. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and
Aw.
she's the best. Lindsay's the best. We got 2 kids. But me and Lindsay's also a black belt. She's a first degree black belt now. She's got her first stripe on there, and we run the business together. So my wife is also my number one training partner throughout this entire jujitsu journey. Like, we started on the same day together.
Oh, wow.
And she's also the co-owner of my business. So we family together, we play together, and we work together. So it's not like I'm dropping all this time away from her when I'm working. We work together,
Right.
you know. So I do have to travel a lot, but I try to take one of my family members with me when I travel. So, like, maybe it's just gonna be me and my daughter this time. Maybe it's just gonna be me and my son. Like, I gotta go spend a week in Costa Rica. Gotta go.
Gotta go.
I gotta go to Costa Rica. I get to go spend a week in Costa Rica doing jujitsu at the end of May, and me and my daughter are gonna go. So we're gonna go spend a week in Costa. So I'll be away from my family, but I'll be with my family, and I'll be working. Well, I don't know. I tell my kids they're not even allowed to call what I do work. Like, this is what I was gonna do. This is what I was gonna do anyway. It's not work. You just gotta bust it in whatever you're excited about. But it's hard to call it work. It's
Yeah,
hard, but it's not work.
yeah, I hear you, dude. It's so funny because for the longest time, I don't, and I just said this recently. I don't think I've had a job in 15 years, and I'm only 33. Like, I've always done my own thing, and whether it was hiring out client services, running an actual business with partners and that whole jazz, doing podcast production and media stuff, digital marketing, like whatever it was, I was doing it for myself because it was the things I enjoyed doing. And I still do a lot of that stuff now. I still help clients with client services when it comes to Google or marketing or whatever, or building a Shopify store or managing that kind of stuff. podcast production. I still do that. I started this show because I didn't have the thing for me and like podcast wise, and this had to be it. So I love the long form interviews and getting this kind of
Yeah,
info.
you guys were like some of the first people in the jiu-jitsu space that were doing like consistent podcasting.
Yeah. We'd actually go to events. Like we'd go to like New Breed and all these other events and
Yeah, I
record.
thought you guys had a great show, man.
Thank you. We did, but everyone got busy. It's like with everything, man. And maybe you could speak to this. Have you gotten through any bouts of like just fatigue, like burnout from the business and everything like associated with it?
I can get that way. I can definitely get stressed out, but I know what it is every time. It's disorganization.
Hmm.
As long as I'm organized, like if you know what you're walking into, if there's a plan and a system, it pulls the stress level on the same task down like dramatically. The the lower sorry, I'm looking at the screen backwards, confusing me. The lower you can pull the stress, the organization,
Mhm.
the high, and then the stress level comes up in direct proportion. I don't know if that's scientific or not, but I'm telling you, for me, if I start to feel overwhelmed, it's because there's things that I've been putting off and I haven't handled, or it's because I haven't planned for this undertaking properly. And as long as I don't, as long as I handle those two things, I don't know, man. I wake up fired up and I go to bed fired up. I have to like calm myself down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Just to get
love
some sleep around here.
dude. Yeah, I was actually watching a video the other day, and it was the was it the battle royal, the 61 man, or what was the title of it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was Battle Royale too. We've done
Okay,
two
dude.
of them.
That's such a good idea, and I hope to talk about it here in a second. But somewhere in there, your wife was talking about how he usually goes to sleep at like no, it was the one where you competed, you rolled with all of your students, and the
Okay.
winner get a chance to get $1,000, and you had all these crazy little sticky notes in there.
Oh yeah.
Was that okay? Yeah, so it was like 30. That's 30 something, I think. 30 rolls or rounds you went, and
Yeah, it
somewhere.
was 30 rounds.
God, dude, that's crazy. Your wife's like, yeah, Brandon, he usually goes to sleep around 1 a.m., but he went to sleep at like before the kids. It was like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
to get ready for this. So do you still go to sleep late on a regular basis, or do you get to sleep earlier?
Well, one is a little bit late for me these days. I'm generally in bed by like 11 these days. I'm getting old, dude.
Yeah.
I can't keep burning it like that, but I get up earlier than I used to also.
What time do you get
So
up?
I just traded it for the morning. Generally around 7:30.
Oh, okay. That's not super early. I mean, I thought you'd say
No,
like
it's
Chaco
super
or
early for
something.
me. No, it's super early for me. So I'm
Okay.
a sleep. I'm a stay. I've always been a stay up late, sleep in hard, get up, hit it hard for the rest of the day. But so like, dude, forever, like until probably like the last 2 or 3 years, I would sleep in till like 10 for sure every morning.
What?
For
Good morning.
sure.
What are you talking about?
For for sure every morning till 10. But I built my schedule so that like my classes end late, so I don't even get started until noon. Like there's nothing going on till noon still. Um, I'm going to be working on stuff, but it's stuff that I have to do by myself before noon.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I used to be the same way. Stay up late, wake up early, and I've also the kids and the things and the schedules, and they've got activities or whatever. So you go to sleep a little earlier. But man, I try to get up at like 5:30 every day.
No, I would never do something like that.
You ever do it? All right,
I would
fair
never do it. Yeah, dude. I mean, I would go back to like if I needed more hours in my day, I would go back to staying up later.
enough.
It's
Really,
just yeah, it's just the way that just the way I'm built.
the
Some
juices.
people like some people like to get up early, but those people they'll brag about getting up early and then they go to bed at like 9 o'clock. Like, what you're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
It's you have the same amount of hours.
yeah. One
I
sounds
would
cool.
much rather find out that somebody sleeps in and doesn't scroll the news feed on their phone. Like, oh, I sleep till noon every day, but I spend zero time on social media. Oh, well, you're probably getting quite a lot done.
So okay, let's talk about that a little bit. Outside of your obligations to scale the business and create content and post the content and maybe interact with the people that are watching it, do you consume a lot of social? Are you on social media much?
No, not really. I pretty much just use Instagram or Facebook for just business purposes. And having said that, I do have to get in and interact.
Mhm.
But if I'm in there, I'm not like I don't really even use the feed at all. I do watch a lot of YouTube though.
Dude, I'm ever since they released the shorts feature, like I was really like against it for a little bit, and then it just turned into my favorite thing, honestly.
Really, I don't
Yeah.
use. To me, that's the same thing as
It
flipping
is.
through
It is.
Instagram.
The quality is so
But
much
I'll
better.
use. I sit and watch YouTube. Like I'll learn. I learn off of YouTube.
Oh
So
yeah, no,
I'm
same.
like I'm addicted to that.
Do you mind sharing what are some of the things you're addicted to on your YouTube subscription list?
Sure. Like right now, I'm most addicted to learning about AI.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I've been diving in super deep on that for since like October of last year.
What else?
So, I mean, tons of jujitsu. UFC Fight Pass is probably the best money I spend every month. So I watch tons of fights and jujitsu. That's about it at this point.
AI
I,
and
I
jujitsu.
do have some like content creators that I like that are like how to grow your YouTube channel or
Mhm.
how to scale your like businessy
Sure.
content, business kind of stuff. But and I used to like be super deep down the rabbit hole on all that stuff, but lately that time has been replaced with AI.
So what have you learned? Because I was also kind of early-ish on the Chat GPT. I got like a pretty big book that one of the content creators that I was following made, and was just kind of teaching you how to prompt it, better, and how to ask it better questions, and so on and so forth. So, one, what are your thoughts about AI as a whole? And two, like, how do you think you're going to implement it into what you do?
What are my thoughts about it as a whole? I think it's the most important thing that's ever happened in our lifetime.
Mm,
It's unbelievable. Like I think even those of us that are into it, we don't quite understand the power that's in our hands.
yeah,
I'm not of the opinion that it's going to go all doomsday. I don't think that at all.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think that it's a toy that is also a productivity tool. So what I think's going to happen is that the people who were not going to be productive are going to continue to not be productive, and maybe they'll play around with it. They'll, you know, just use it as a toy, right? But I think the people who learn to use it early are going to, I mean, it's just incredible leverage. So we were talking earlier about like organization. That's definitely like my biggest weakness, not just as a business owner, but in my life. I don't do that well naturally, right? I have to like set out to do something like to get organized. But the amount of productivity and like 40x that I've been able to do for like say organizing the PGF or whatever. I mean, I can sit down. I wrote a whole manual on Sunday because we're presenting to an investor. I wrote an entire manual on the structure of the PGF. It's like almost 100 pages. I did that on Sunday. That would have taken me,
Months.
I mean, well, no, I would have never done it.
Mm. So,
But
Phil,
because I could get in there, go ahead,
what's the PGF?
go ahead. PGF's the Professional Grappling Federation. We've done 4 seasons. It's the world's only jujitsu league. So we have it. We set
Why
it up
does
like
this? It sounds familiar. Sorry to interrupt, but it sounds familiar. But I guess I haven't heard that acronym in a while.
yeah. Well, that's my league that I started. And anyway, we've had a presentation that we're having to do for a couple of investors. And I was like, man, I got to get this thing organized. I want to be able to present like you said, dude. If I can sit down in the room with you, it's going to go pretty well.
It's true.
But
It's very true.
if I can give you system and just sit it in your lap, it's way better, way better. So yeah, man, I put together this anyway.
Like a
made a
pitch
big
deck.
presentation. No, way bigger than a pitch
Way
deck.
big?
Like
Okay.
the whole manual. Like I I told the AI I want to be able to take this manual. This is the objective. I want to write a manual. I'm gonna tell you everything about the PGF. And we're gonna take this manual and we're gonna hand it to old Rob G over here.
Let's do it.
And Rob G is going to, without my involvement or feedback at all, going to be able to run a whole season of the PGF.
Oh, wow.
So, like the systems, the process, everything we do that I knew how to do.
Hmm.
Now it's systemized.
I love that,
Right.
man. The leverage that creates, like, what did it take? Minutes, maybe?
It took me 14 hours.
Oh, no, for the AI to like actually deliver the.
Well, because I worked with it for 14 hours. Like,
Oh,
okay, no, I need to adjust this. No, we need to focus in on this. I need you to break this part down into, you know, uh, 4 subtasks, whatever.
gotcha. Okay. Well, I said earlier kind of briefly, but I just started training again last week, Bmac. I know you're probably ashamed that I stopped, but I stopped for a while and now I
Oh
got.
yeah, I'm super ashamed.
Yeah,
I'm
Bmac,
super ashamed.
he pooped on me for a long time. First of all, because I wasn't training Nogi, and then second of all, when I was like, yeah, I'm not really training right now anymore. You're like, what? Loser? And he made me feel
Lose
really
my
bad.
number.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
and
I'm
I did.
glad it made you feel bad.
It made me feel really bad. I was like, no,
Good.
BMAC's upset, and he thinks I'm, as Eddie would say, what a scum of the earth white belt is never gonna amount to anything. I'm like, all right,
A normie, just a normie.
don't you dare call me a normie. Anything but a normie, as a matter of fact. But yeah, man, I got the gi back on. Actually, my wife is a blue belt now. She got her blue belt before I did, so there's that.
Dang. Yeah, my wife's much better at jujitsu than I am, so I feel your pain on that.
Yeah, my wife loves your content. By the way, she's always sending me your reels and clips and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I know, BMAC's great. Like, she's like, no, like, look at it, let's drill it later, and then like, let's work on it. Okay, all right. So
Causing some tension in the household.
yeah, but also bringing people together. You're bringing couples together.
I'm
Yes,
a
truly,
giver.
you're a giver and a lover, but not. Ironically, yeah,
Some
I guess you are a fighter, but
Oh no, I'm not a fighter, that's for sure.
it was funny when we were on Sixth Street. We were talking about there was like maybe an altercation in the distance that I remember, and somebody asked BMAX something. He's like, "If you ever got into an altercation, like, what would you do?" And BMAX like, "Take down, knee on belly, run." And just like that. Like, I'm not scrambling. I'm not trying to get into a fight. I'm trying to get as far away as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's a much more aggressive answer than I would give now, even.
Okay, well, what's your answer be now?
Okay, there's a scrap happening right here, or like somebody jumps
And
me.
somebody's like, "Yeah, trying to get into a scrap with you."
Oh, I would apologize, and then if it got, even if I didn't do anything wrong, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I spilled that beer on your shoe. Let me buy you another beer, dude.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry about that. Totally my bad.
yeah.
Oh, you want to fight? I'll tell you what. Let me run out. I'm out of the location. I do not want to fight.
Okay. That is very 43 versus probably almost close to like 35 when I first met you. Yeah. That's what a decade does. It gives you that type of
Wisdom.
wherewithal.
It's wisdom
Wisdom.
because it is wisdom because and it's maturity. Like, what do you mean you're going to get into an argument and a fight at the Costco? What do you mean? Who are you? Are you 9 years old? Like, what are you talking about right now? That the only reason that should happen is that you're not willing to back off of it. It should never escalate to
I
that.
agree.
Now, if it's like
100%.
an attack, that's not what we're talking about, right?
Right.
Like you get attacked, like what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know? But we're talking about like a verbal thing. Almost any fight can be avoided.
I
A
totally
fight is not
agree.
the same thing as an attack. Now, if you get attacked, you need to be prepared.
You got a ham
But
sandwich it.
I don't know. Hopefully, it won't come to that. Hopefully, it'll be a lot easier.
Uh,
Most of the jujitsu is only good for people who also are good at jujitsu.
this is true.
Like dealing with somebody who doesn't know jujitsu, you're not going to need to know anything fancy.
That's also very
Close the distance, grab him, knee on belly, maybe smack him and yell at him, wait for the cops.
true. Or like Tim Kennedy says, push his face into the ground and make teeth soup or whatever he says.
Teeth soup. I haven't heard him say that, but I do like that.
Yeah. So to go back to the business side of it, BMAC, like now that I assume you've got a pretty good system, a pretty good flow about, what's getting made, what's going out, how often you put stuff
Yeah,
out.
for
What is
sure.
the long-term, I guess, goal of the content you're producing? Is it to grow the federation? Is it to grow the online courses and classes? Is it to do another brick and mortar type thing? Like, what's the play in the short term, I guess?
Well, so what has happened over time is that the business model has shifted so that really the content is the product,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So the content, the free content that we make is, or I shouldn't even say the free content, the content we make. So let's say, for instance, I'm teaching a seminar this weekend at your school.
Hmm.
Okay. Part of the cost of doing business is for me to pay for Keelan's flight and food for the weekend. And he comes and he documents the whole thing, the flight, the conversations, the actual technique, and he just grabs it all into a big chunk. That chunk goes into a folder, and then we split that out into paid content that goes behind the website paywall, free content, long form, which on YouTube and Facebook, which both pay for long form content, uh, short form content, vertical, that drives eyeballs and subscribers, doesn't drive a lot of revenue anymore. There until last month, actually, short form content was my number one source of revenue in the online business.
Really?
We were doing five figures a month from Facebook
Wow.
until last month. They killed the program. So
Yeah.
now, you know, we had shifted a lot of attention over to that short form content because it was returning the most value. But the long form content is back to being the top value. Um, the online subscriptions, the top value, then the long form content. But also, these are, even if nobody pays for the content, these are giant branding plays. These turn into seminar gigs, these turn into commentary gigs, they turn into, you know,
Paid partnerships
whatever.
in general.
Yeah, sponsorships. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of the commentary and seminar gigs that I get are pretty much based on, like, those are a result of the content, the free content that I put out, because you're not gonna like look up who's the best jujitsu guy in the world and see my name on that list. You know what I mean? Like I didn't compete against the best guys in the world.
Mhm.
Those were not my peers and never
Right.
were gonna be. I'm a regular dude who really likes jujitsu, and if I just happen to be obsessed with it, so I
Yeah,
do it
obsessed
every
with
day.
it, and you're really good at breaking shit down. Like, I know you know that, right? Like, you're so
That's
good.
intentional, though. That's
Yeah.
not an accident. That's
Of
not
course
like a
not. Yeah.
gift that I have. That's
It's the obsession.
just, it's the obsession, but it's also the obsession with being able to deliver the information to you in a digestible way.
Mhm.
Right? It's not just I know the material better than other people. It's I worked on public speaking a lot before I even got into jujitsu. I knew that whatever field that I wanted to be good at, that public speaking would be a huge leverage in that. It would be a huge like multiplier. So really, any skill plus public speaking, and you can make six figures a year.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what your skill is. You can find a way to translate that into six figures a year. You
Skills pay
know,
the bills, bruh.
skills pay the bills, but being comfortable in front of an audience and being comfortable organizing and delivering your thoughts is what really pays the bills.
So, in that list of
A
things.
lot of lot of people got skills.
Yeah.
A lot of people got skills. A lot of black belts in the world better than me. We could name off. We could get a list of 100 going real quick. Probably
Yeah.
just the first 100 we think of that would be better than me. But um, being having a skill doesn't necessarily mean that you understand what a beginner needs to know. Like, it's, in fact, sometimes people are so good that they have a hard time relating to a regular person.
Right.
But the world is filled with regular people, and a lot of those regular people want to learn jujitsu and have no aspirations whatsoever of becoming the world champion. Couldn't care less about becoming a world champion. Don't even care about getting ranked. Just need to lose some weight. Just bored, need something to do, or just want to learn about jiu-jitsu because they're a UFC fan or they think it's cool or whatever. And that's 80, maybe 90% of people who practice jiu-jitsu are regular people. I know how to talk to regular people, dude.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
can
you
I
do.
can do that. I can do
The
that.
accent helps too. Like you seem very like humble, down to earth. Southern boy.
I don't know if I'm humble, but I am a Southern boy.
You're actually kind of the opposite of that, honestly. Unless you know Bmac, you're like, oh, this is Bmac. But if you didn't know him, you'd probably be like, this arrogant son of a beep. So you in that list of things in the class, the online academy and the sponsorship deals and the ads and all that kind of stuff. Did you list any kind of personal branded product, like your own thing, like that you sell or produce?
Like a physical
Yeah.
item? No,
No. Is that on the list of things? Why not?
no. I just don't want to deal with inventory. I don't want to deal with the overhead costs associated with having a physical product. Like we have t-shirts and rash guards at the gym, but I really don't even sell them online. I mean, like they're available, but I never push them. I have sponsorship deals where they have gear and I'll just take a cut of that.
Yeah. Kind of like X
But I don't
Marshall.
X Marshall
There
right
you go.
here.
Promo
Use
code.
code Brandon10 to save 10%.
There we go. Like a
There you
professional.
go.
So did you
Yeah,
have?
I don't like dealing with physical with
Mhm.
like stock and inventory. I don't like messing with all that stuff. That's extra stress. It's extra things to organize. Oh,
Yeah.
extra things to organize. There's got to be and it costs money to make money
Hmm.
in that way. Like I'm not saying it's a bad bit. Like it's a great business model. Obviously, like tons and tons of people do great with products. But it's not something that interests me. I would like information is free, right? I just need to be able to package up and organize the information
Right.
and get it to you, and that doesn't cost me anything. So
It
it's
seems like
total profit once your fixed expenses are handled.
not a lot of, or maybe there is, but not that I'm aware of. Like a lot of people in the martial arts community can do that really well. Is it, or do you think that there is like has compared to 7, 8 years ago, has the amount of people that are doing it at a high level kind of risen with time, or is it still kind of like there's only a couple players that do it really well online?
Do what, the physical product
No, no,
or
no. I'm sorry. The like the online academy and the content and the courses.
well, I mean, I don't want to say we were the first people doing it, but we might have been the first people doing it. Marcelo had an online academy, Jean-Jacques, Eddie, the Gracie Academy. And so these are huge names in the industry, but there's definitely no like regular dude black belts
Hmm.
that were, especially from the 10th Planet system.
Right.
The 10th Planet's like the black sheep of the jiu-jitsu world. He's a wild man. He's one of my best friends, but he's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So he's got all these conspiracy theories and he's always talking about weed and he's always dropping F bombs or whatever. Hey, that's not everybody's bag, dude.
Yeah. Right now it's
You
the
know,
moon. Like I love Eddie's currently posting a lot about the moon landing and going back to the moon.
he's a wild man.
I love it
He,
though. I'll eat it up every day.
like I said, dude, one of the very best friends and supporters that I have in my life, and I would die for that dude.
That's
But
awesome.
he's crazy. But he's crazy.
Oh, he's
And
such a good
so,
time.
there wasn't really somebody, uh, I don't know, a man of the people. There wasn't really a man of the people. There were these like celebrities
Yeah.
in jujitsu. And within 10th Planet, because it was kind of a black sheep, there wasn't really, like, it was almost at that time, especially like, you're a gi guy or you're a no gi guy, and near the twain shall meet. But I never felt that way. And I wanted to find a way to like close that gap and bring those two communities together. And I knew that I could be somebody who could represent 10th Planet well on like a global stage.
Bmac, the man of the people.
There you go.
You need to put that on a shirt. I like that. We only got a couple more minutes because Bmac trains at noon and he's got other things to do. So I got a couple of rapid fire questions. And I hope to do this again and kind of, or maybe even off the podcast, man, honestly, and just kind of talk shop about business and marketing and how, you're doing things and the way you do you guys still do the what do you call it? The 10WO or what is it?
Yeah,
Do you guys
the
get together
10WO.
often? Do you guys have like a kind of virtual stuff or in-person stuff?
Yeah, so we got a big chat that's been going, I mean, since I was like a purple belt,
Yeah.
and it's wild, as you could probably imagine. There's a
I-
lot of 10th Planet dudes in there, so
Yeah.
it gets hairy. But
So
yeah, we do a couple of big get-togethers every year in LA with Eddie. So June the 9th or June the 8th, that whatever that weekend
mhm,
is is the 20-year anniversary of 10th Planet. So we're
mhm.
having like a big get together in downtown LA, and we're putting together the 10th Planet Hall of Fame. So we'll have
Ooh,
our first class of the 10th Planet Hall of Fame. They'll induct 3 people.
that's awesome. Is it going to be just for you guys to witness, or is it going to be streamed or recorded?
I'm sure it'll definitely be recorded on
Yeah.
some level. I don't know exactly what the plan is though.
Um,
Keelan, I'm taking Keelan with me, so
so you'll capture it for sure.
he'll get it.
That's what's up, man. So, a couple questions real quick here. So, are you focused on anything in particular in your career these days? Like, when it comes to everything you're doing, like, what's the golden goose? Like, what's the diamond? What's the big pony you're focusing on?
Content, and the thing that I'm trying to steer my career more towards is media, like working with like commentary and like analyst role and stuff like that. So um, currently I'm working with UFC Fight Pass on ADCC, EBI, Combat Jiu Jitsu, the Medusa, which is the women's world championship over there. So I've got those 4 promotions, and then I've got some announcements to make coming up about some work I'm going to be doing with flow grappling, but I can't really talk about that
Ooh,
right now.
yeah,
So
love it.
there's that, and then there's the PGF, which is the league, the Jiu-Jitsu league, and putting a lot of energy into that. I feel like the PGF is definitely the biggest and best idea that I've ever had. It's just a matter of making that a reality. So
It's
it's
one of those
been
things.
very grassroots getting it started, but it's had some good success so far.
That's one of those. It's been in the Brandon vault for a while, and it's like it's time to come out into fruition.
Yeah, so this will be the 5th season that we've done coming up in October. October 29th will be season 5, and I think we're going to have a much larger budget this year, just
That's
based
awesome.
on some of the investors and sponsors that we've been picking up. A lot more interest in it this time
That's
around.
fantastic, dude. Another one. Do you have any entrepreneurial goals that you're working on that's maybe not related to jujitsu, or is it that's probably almost not applicable to you, is it?
What do you mean?
Like,
What
do
do
you
you
have
mean not
anything?
applicable?
Just because you're so obsessed with what you're doing and you've got so many things going on that
Uh,
I doubt you're working on anything outside of jujitsu
um,
that you
no,
could talk about.
I don't have any big like goals. I don't know. I kind of passed whatever I thought was capable, whatever the young Brandon
Hmm.
thought that Brandon would be capable of. Like I don't know, dude. I was never gonna get a black belt. That was that was crazy to me. I
Mm.
was never gonna have a 6 figure a year online business. I was never gonna have a successful gym. So I was never gonna be uh, working for the UFC. You know.
Right.
So to me, I just am enjoying the things that come to me. I keep my head down and stay focused on being the best that I could possibly be at my craft, and I have no expectations. I don't want any expectations. I just want to do what I want to do. If I had all the like if I set some monetary goals and I had, oh man, I'm making 5 million a year now. Well, that would be awesome, but you know what I would do with 5 million a year? I would do what I'm already doing.
More
So
jujitsu.
I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and then maybe I can drive a nicer car or eat out more if I have more money. But I don't really care about those things that much. I just they don't even it doesn't even really excite me that much, to be honest with you.
That's awesome, man. So final real question before we get into all the pleasantries of ending a show is what are some of the personal development breakthroughs that you've had that maybe somebody listening that's either starting a business, running a business, maybe they're also a martial artist. Like what are one of the personal development breakthroughs that you've had in the last decade?
Give me an example.
So
Narrow it down for me.
So when it comes to just your ability to go from I'm an unorganized entrepreneur who has all these things that he kind of really doesn't want to do, or really is just focused on doing the things he wants to do, something had to flip a switch in your head that said, I have to do this. So what helped you just make the personal development change in your mind to say, I want to get there? Like kind of like this, the Federation, like I got it in my head. It's the greatest idea I've ever had. Like what pushed you through to just go do that thing?
Um, well, I'll take you even further back than that, and I'll give you like uh, a couple of books that I recommend
Okay,
that
great.
were big like mind shifts for me. So the first one was before I ever started jujitsu. I read this book called The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Oh yeah, classic.
Okay. Yeah, classic book. But that book really planted a seed in my mind of like how somebody like, oh, wait, you don't have to grind out 40 hours a week working for somebody else. And you don't have to own, like, I didn't really understand small business and ownership at that time. Like, yeah, I didn't really understand entrepreneurship. That wasn't something I grew up thinking that I was going to do. But that book really like opened my mind to what could be possible and laid out a very, especially at that time, a very unorthodox formula for how you could like actually leverage your time and set up systems that would work for you so that you didn't have to like grind in your business all the time. The other book that I highly recommend is called The Art of Learning. It's by Josh Waitzkin. And I won't give you the whole boring spiel on it, but basically, The Art of Learning is a manual on how to acquire and maximize new skills. And it's phenomenal. Josh Waitzkin was great American chess champion. He was the subject of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. If you ever saw that,
Yeah, dude.
he
Yes. Okay.
he's the little kid from that movie.
I'm
They
writing these
made that
down, by the
movie,
way. That's what I'm doing. I'm typing.
dude. So the audio book version of The Art of Learning, Josh reads it,
Nice.
and I would highly recommend let him read it to you. He's good at it.
I love it. I wish you'd read me a book, but go on. What else you
Oh
got?
no, I'm from Alabama, dude. I can't read. I told you I watch YouTube videos, man.
The 4 hour
um,
work week, the art of learning. What else you got?
oh, I'll tell you, this is interesting. Uh, so I was in Costa Rica. So this is a crazy story. I'll tell you this, and then I
Yeah.
gotta go. So I got an email like April of last year from somebody who was like following my content. He's like a musician. He's like, hey, do you want to use our music for the PGF? You can use it copyright free. And I've gotten a bunch of messages like that, and usually the music's not really what I'm looking for. We'll just say, and but this was really good. Like I was like, oh man, this guy's like an actual professional musician. Like this was it was really good. Okay, so and we ended up using it. And then he emailed me a couple of months later and he said, hey, I'm putting together a week long trip in Costa Rica. You want to come? I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, what are you going to be doing? He's like, well, we're just going to be hanging out. Do you want to come? We'll pay for your flight and your lodging. I was like, uh, okay, yeah, dude. I was like, I'll just come.
Is this a
Because
setup?
yeah, dude. So I was kind of worried about that, but we had been emailed a little bit back and forth and kind of figured out some of what it was going to be, but I really didn't know much about what I was walking into. So I get to the airport, I land in Liberia, in Costa Rica, and they pick me up in a van. I was like, nobody else? He's like, no, I'm taking you to the spot. I said, how far is the spot? He said, it's about 2.5 hours. I said, okay. So I took my shoes off and I sat in the van. And about 30 minutes in, we start getting away from anything that looks like there's going to be this is where we're going. And I start going, oh man, I've made a big mistake. What have I walked into? And then we're driving and driving. And I start going, man, I got to make friends with this guy. Like, I don't know what's going on. I got to get this dude on my team. But I don't really speak enough Spanish to be charming, you know? So, anyway, but then about 2 hours into the trip, I start seeing these signs. Just one scattered here. It says, bad roads bring good people. And then we get a little further up the road and there's another sign, bad roads bring good people. And then I start seeing them pop up. And then it just kind of opens up. Like we've been along these bumpy roads at like 15 miles an hour for 2 hours, dude. And then it kind of opens up and we're in Nosara in Costa Rica. And there's one way in and it's through the worst, most awful roads that you've ever been on. But once you get in there, it's cool. So everybody's hiding. All these cool people are hiding in Nosara, Costa Rica. He takes me to the hotel. The hotel is like a 5-star joint. And it's built into the side of the mountain and overlooks the ocean. So, you know, Costa Rica is like one of the only places in the world where it's jungle and ocean, right?
Nah, don't tell me Bmac got a call or something. What a cliffhanger. So we got technical difficulties here. Oh,
Oh,
there we
there
go.
it goes. Dude, somebody tried to call in while I'm telling a story, bro. Let me set this thing to sleep mode. So he takes us to this 5-star hotel. It's like tucked away into the side of the mountain. And there's like, I'm the only jujitsu dude there, right? So he's like, oh, you're going to teach a couple of jujitsu sessions to these people that are here. So I was like, okay, well, who are these people? He's like, they'll tell you all about it tonight at dinner. So there's this dope restaurant on site, super, super dope restaurant. Looks out over the ocean, outdoor seating, pavilion. It's amazing. And there's like 50 people there. And I'm just kind of meeting people. Like, so where are you from? Oh, I'm from Norway. Like, oh, what do you do? I play the harp professionally. What are you talking about? You play the harp professionally. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm from California, and I'm a theoretical physicist. Huh? Like, what is this group? This guy's a guitar player. This guy is does like energy healing martial arts. This chick was on Ancient Aliens. Like, it's, dude, the most rando assortment of people that are like, you know, near the top of their field. I won't say like they're the best in the world at their thing, but like these are like high level professionals in all
Yeah.
these different fields. And so we're at dinner and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And this guy gets up. I hadn't seen this guy yet. Tank top, white dude, talking about white guy, you know what I'm saying? And he goes, hey, my name is, I won't tell you his name, but he says, this is my name. And I'm the guy who organized this thing to bring all you guys together. And I don't have an agenda for the week. I don't need anything from you. Nobody's going to try to sell you anything. I just wanted to bring a bunch of diverse, cool people out here to hang out with me for a week. He's a billionaire. And this guy from the band that reached out and had the, like to give us the music is in the circle with this guy. And he's like also a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. And so that's how he knew me and he'd been following my content. And so he's like, hey, I want to bring a martial artist out. And this guy was like, oh, you got to bring this guy. So that's how I ended up out there.
Dude,
But
what a cool story.
crazy. All right. So that's the baseline of the story. That's the environment that I'm in. So on one of the last nights that we were there, we had a big party over at the billionaire's house.
Bmac, before you tell the story of this party, can you connect and disconnect your AirPods? Because now it's starting to kind of go in and out.
Yeah, yeah. All right, what do you think? Is that better?
That'll work. That'll work.
Is it better or is it not good?
I think it's just when you got that phone call, there's kind of like just like a tiny little like delay, but that's all right.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, so what part did I get to? What were we talking
So the
about?
party now you're opening up to this party.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we go to the party at this dude's house, and his house overlooks the ocean. It's even nicer than the five-star hotel, dude. He has a full studio in his house, like music studio. When the doors open up like this, so you're playing music to the ocean, which is just, I'm a musician. I'm a musician too, so this is like incredible. There's tons of great musicians there, and they have a concert. It's just a jam session for like 4 hours there at this dude's house. So I'm just eating it up. Well, rewind, the day before we're at jiu-jitsu, and of course I'm buddied up with the purple belt. Like, it's just pretty much none of these people want to do jiu-jitsu, so I'm just there, and me and him are hanging out all week, right? He's a professional musician. He's a purple belt, and we were talking, and we got into the recommend me a book discussion. You know what I mean? Like, what books do you know that one? And you got to have one in your back pocket that you recommend. And so for me, that book is always The Art of Learning by Josh Waitzkin. He's like, what's the name of the author? I said, Josh Waitzkin. He goes, huh. And he picks up his phone. I was like, what are you doing? He said, I'm just going to try something out. And then we moved on. So the next night, we're at this dude's house for the jam session, and Josh Waitzkin walks in.
No way.
Josh Waitzkin and his wife walk in, and he's like, yo, I heard, because Josh Waitzkin is also a Marcelo Garcia black belt.
Uh-huh.
He was Marcelo Garcia's first black belt.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, fascinating. Anyway, he walks in, he's like, I heard there was an Eddie Bravo black belt here. I would love to meet him. And so he's like, we manifested. Isn't that crazy?
This is one of the coolest stories I've ever heard.
And then I just got to hang out for a little while with a guy who legitimately is like changed my life that I had never met. And just by recommending his book, he appeared in front of me.
That is amazing. Did you get to have like a chat with him for a while, or was it kind of like
yeah, I got to hang out for a while. It was
awesome.
Amazing. He's a super, first of all, super humble and kind person. Like, he's a legitimate genius, right? Like a legitimate genius. But he was very humble and kind, much more humble and kind than myself.
Full circle, dude. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That is the best bow to this podcast you possibly could have offered the audience. So I know you got to train here in like the next 35 or so minutes. So where can people follow you, man? Like, where can they keep up with this? Where can they learn from you if they want to learn from you?
BrandonMC.Ninja on Instagram, BrandonMC Ninja on YouTube. And yeah, you just go there. Go get the free stuff. Just go get the free stuff. And then if you like what you see, you'll filter down into the paid content.
You'll filter down from the top of the funnel to the bottom.
Yeah, I'll bring you into the cult.
You got any trips? I know you were actually in Austin, the Austin area recently. I actually moved from Houston to the Central Texas area, so I'm like 30 minutes from the mothership and the whole 6th Street crowd. Do you have any trips coming to Texas again?
Yeah, one of these Who's Number One trips is June in Dallas.
Okay, damn, it's far.
So you're gonna have to do what you got to do, Robbie G.
You're right, man. Brother, I appreciate the hour. I really do. I hope to do this again. If there's anything, like I've said, that I could do for you, just don't hesitate to reach out. Let's try to not have like this 3.5-year gap or so where the last text message I had from Bmac was, and I love you with a pink heart emoji from like 2019 before the world shut down. And I was like, why the hell has it been so long?
Yeah, that was good. See, I still sending the heart emojis back in the old times.
Back in the day. Well, dude, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Enjoy your trip you got coming up with your daughter, and I hope to talk to you again soon, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take care. Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Brandon Mccaghren, a.k.a. my man Bmac. These after shows, I don't know how long I'll do them. I'll probably do them for at least the first half a dozen or a dozen, or who knows. But I want to be able to build a relationship with the audience. Some people might be coming from other shows that I help produce or even help co-host, or you might just be suggested. I might get suggested to you through YouTube's Shorts or the long form algorithm, or you might have. However you found it, I'm glad you found it, and I'm glad you made it to the end of this episode, which I believe was over an hour long or so. And I just want you to kind of get a feel for myself as a host for the show, for my interview style. The first half dozen to a dozen people will be people that I've talked to in the past and interviewed or hung out with or just learned a lot of stuff from. So I'm excited to have them back on the podcast after, a decade or so, some more, some less of just them being humans and living their lives and growing their businesses and growing their families, starting families if they didn't have one when we first interacted. But yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. YouTube is the internet altogether is just such a chaotic place a lot of the time that, despite the politics of the world, and if you're all about the environment or if you're all about, saving the animals or the planet or or whatever it's about, I feel like if you can find a person, a medium, a certain type of content that kind of brings you back down to earth from time to time and kind of helps you wrap your mind around everything that's going on, especially if you're an entrepreneur like myself and like the people I'm having on the show in one way or another. They might not all be high level entrepreneurs, but they're all trying to achieve something that's just beyond most people's, either capacity to understand or even believe in themselves. So that's my job. That's what I want to do. That's what I've been doing. That's what I've loved to do. And I felt like if I felt like I had a skill that was worth sharing with the world, it's this. It's just having really good conversations and then getting either a certain something out of the guest or having listeners, have an aha kind of epiphany moment from the conversations. And that's the main goal of the show. Right now, as of the recording of this and the first few episodes, or maybe even the first year, I don't have a huge desire to quickly monetize the podcast or do anything specific. I just want to get really good content out, and I want to just make sure that the audience enjoys it. And then from there, build relationships with people, brand or companies or services or whatever that can continue the exchange of good value. So this podcast hopefully brings you value of entertainment, of education, of whatever. Maybe it just passes the time for you, but you enjoy listening to it. And I hope the guests then become people, part of your lives. And maybe you go follow Bmac and go sign up for his online school and learn from him, learn jujitsu from him, follow him on social and just learn his philosophies for his like his family life, his personal life, his work life, balance, and all that. And if it's not your kind of thing, I have other guests that I'm sure somebody will find something in one of these guests. All in all, the conversations are the goal, right? Having really good interviews, and they're not so much interviews as they are just genuine conversations to try to get to the root of how some of these people have accomplished what they've done. I mean, it's awesome that what they've done. And I'm just excited about some of the ones that are going to be dripping out here pretty soon because when we first interacted, they were like me and like maybe a lot of you aspiring, whatever, filmmakers, fighters, business owners. And they just chipped away at it, right? And they were able to get to a point where it's undeniable that they have achieved the thing they set out to achieve. And it's undeniable that people want to learn from them and people are asking them for their advice and for their tips and tricks and hacks and whatnot. So before I start rambling too much on this was the first, what I'm going to call after show of the podcast to try to just build a better bond with you guys. Here's the opportunity for you to ask questions too. If I didn't say it in the intro, I probably didn't say it in the podcast, but if there's something you want to learn either furthermore from BMAC or you want to have him back on, or you want to ask me a question, drop it in the comments right now. It's the only place you guys can reach me unless you follow me at RobGTV and you can shoot me a DM. I'll have a place where you guys can sign up for a newsletter so you can get in touch with me, but also keep in touch with what's going on with the podcast and the guests and things they have going on. So just to be super transparent, I mean, that's the goal. Like there's no clickbaity, it's not smoke and mirrors. This is just a genuinely passionate idea that I want to fulfill on and want to keep doing. I've been doing this, like I said, for a long, long time, a decade, probably a little more. And I want to just go all in on bringing the most value through these long form interviews and conversations with entrepreneurs, the family people that people that are entrepreneurs and have a family and are trying to juggle all these things. And even if you don't, like, I'm still going to have good conversations with some of these people. And I think you guys are going to love it. So with that said, leave a rating and review if you haven't already. And I'll see you on Friday or whenever the next time an episode drops. I will see you. Follow me at RobGTV if you want, and have a great day. Have the day you deserve.